Hello and welcome to the Business of Blockchain. I'm Nisa Amoyles. This special episode focused on blockchain use cases is sponsored by Bitdeer. Today we are talking about blockchain and how it could be used to solve problems in the healthcare industry. My guests are Dr. Alex Cahana, advisor to the United Nations for Blockchain and Healthcare, and Cynthia Glasbrenner, EVP Web3 Growth, Lionvault. So there are many different constituents using blockchain in the healthcare system. Can you give some examples?
Of course. I would say that the use cases now that where we use blockchain is either to, I want to say, move things. For example, supply chain. COVID showed us, for example, that we didn't know where to find toilet paper or hand sanitizers. How many ventilators do we need? So blockchain is a very good accounting system to kind of find and track things. It's also good in following people in the sense of, for example, credentialing or combining or connecting people who are vaccinated to their vaccination or to their medication. It's good for clinical trials. That is used a lot. How can we recruit people, especially those who live far away, and participate in important trials to find the right drugs for treatment. And I would say also electronic health records.
And also ultimately owning your own medical records.
I think that would be the best of it, that if at the end that data could be ours, then not only would we be able to use it, but blockchain offers an opportunity to earn rewards, both monetarily and non-monetarily, for our healthy behavior. And as a pain doctor, where the essence of treatment is behavior modification, that is the best way to use it.
Prevention.
Well, just to build on that a little bit, there's errors that happen. So you're getting healthcare and someone makes a mistake. The doctor doesn't necessarily always communicate all the different medications. The patient doesn't tell you everything that they've got. If you owned your own medical records, literally everything comes together and it's immutable. You would be able to tell if that person's taking some medication that would have a negative effect. My father was in the hospital and he was given the wrong blood. The only reason that they found out that it was incorrect was because my mother was a nurse and she looked at the blood and said, wait a minute, this is wrong. Mistakes do happen, but if it's blockchain based, actually you would be able to eliminate that like really costly mistake.
Absolutely. And you represent big pharma companies, you work with them, and one of the biggest problems has been fraudulent drugs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think the biggest tragedy there is, according to the World Health Organization, more than 1 million people have died from fraudulent drugs. So they think they're getting something that they need, but in fact it's some sort of laced product that isn't even remotely connected to the pharmaceutical distributing it. So what can you do? With blockchain, you would be able to, down to the exact dosage, track like a little ledger where all of this medication goes. Now currently pharmaceuticals do track everything, but what's unpredictable is that copycat that takes that drug and then creates this fake element. Well, with blockchain, what happens is if there's two things that are not matching, you get a red flag. And you would be able to know, and this is just in simplified terms here, but you would be able to know if that drug was in fact real.
And what other kinds of problems in pharmaceuticals can blockchain help solve?
There's lots of areas that we see, like I was saying about the mistaken medication. I think that's a big one. My mom actually does have cancer, and one of the things she says is the toughest part is all of the medical record, and Alex had mentioned this, all of the medical record keeping. So from the payments to the insurance to all of the medication, any of her appointments. If she had her own medical record capability, she would be able to communicate with all of her doctors instantly. And how about this? If there was a clinical trial available, if there was a new medication, because she has her own file, the pharmaceuticals would be able to communicate with her. Of course, there's a lot of compliance that we have here, so I want to be sensitive to that. But they could communicate with her and let her know that she would be available to test some of these drugs. And I think that's just enormous.
Absolutely. So Alex, U.S. has one of the highest costs of healthcare in the world. Are there solutions outside the existing system that we could employ?
Of course, this whole idea of decentralizing, we can decentralize anything. So decentralized science, for example, how we organize between ourselves. It's called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which is kind of a fancy way of a virtual community. So really this whole idea of decentralization is really another word for democratization and giving more power to the individual to be an active participant in the activity.
Are you saying in DeSci it's another way to come up with drugs versus pharma companies?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's a group of patients can get together and say, nobody is interested in our disease because it's not financially viable. But we can get together. We can maybe crowdsource. We can maybe talk directly to universities. We can find thought leaders and researchers. So this is very empowering for patients and for their families.
Well, and it also builds trust. That's one of the big components about blockchain that I think maybe the general population doesn't understand, that the trust that you are able to build, because it is immutable and because it is crowdsourced and decentralized, it does create an ability to track, own, understand, and then vet all of the data that's produced. So I think that's
It's funny you say that, because I say blockchain is the software solution to the problem of trust.
100%.
So what message would you both give to lawmakers in the U.S.?
I would say privacy is important, yes. Security is important, yes. But give self-ownership. Have people control their data.
And I think what I would say is that there's an opportunity now. We're at a tipping point. It would be phenomenal to bring together the leadership of pharma, of healthcare, of patients, and of legal to come together in some sort of committee fashion to talk about that. You need experts in the blockchain space to help inform what you really could do, and I think there's such a tremendous opportunity there.
Fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for being here. That's it for today's edition of The Business of Blockchain. This special report highlighting a blockchain use case was sponsored by Bitdeer. I'm Nisa Amoyles at the Nasdaq market site.